following breaking news in the Trayvon Martin case. There's new DNA evidence in that case, along with the DNA test results released. Hundreds of pages of police documents were released as well by the prosecution, and interviews and witness sketches of the crime scene. NBC's Mark Potter joins me live from Miami. This forensic test released today specifically on the DNA found on the gun itself, Mark.
That's exactly right, Cameron. But this evidence released by the prosecution does not seem to contain anything that anyone right now is calling a bombshell. But it is interesting, and as you said, it does involve DNA evidence found on the gun carried by George Zimmerman, a gun that he said that Trayvon Martin was reaching for before George Zimmerman shot him in what he describes as self-defense. So according to reports released today, investigators on the grip of that gun, on the handle, found DNA evidence clearly from George Zimmerman, and they say that they were absolutely able to rule out any DNA from Trayvon Martin. So clearly he did not touch the handle of that gun. On the holster, there was DNA found from 3 individuals, predominantly George Zimmerman. The other 2 could not be determined. On the trigger and the slide of the handgun, there was insufficient evidence to determine any sort of DNA profile. So this is the kind of stuff that either side can use to help their case, or they can use the evidence any a way that helps them. The prosecution might say that it shows that Trayvon Martin never touched that gun. The defense, however, would argue that that's not what Zimmerman said. What he said was that he was reaching for the gun. So, as I said at the outset, it's interesting information, but it's not something likely to shake this case. Cameron?
All right, Mark Potter live for us. Thank you for the very latest there on this new information.
Hey, everyone. I feel like with all of this evidence, quote unquote, being released, it's very much like, it feels very much like the defense is really trying to set up an argument for a mistrial or to set up a change of venue motion. It just feels so wrong that all of this information, all of this so-called evidence is being released to the public way prior to the trial. And it also feels as if they are trying to try Trayvon Martin in this case instead of trying George Zimmerman in court. They're trying to charge Trayvon Martin in the public versus trying George Zimmerman in a court of law. The reason why I say that is there's an article with the LA Times, and it says, among other material released Wednesday was an interview with a clerk of the convenience store where Martin had gone to buy a package of Skittles and a can of iced tea. Martin was returning from the store when the confrontation with Zimmerman took place. Why are they releasing the interview of the clerk of the store? It sounds as if this is a character witness. What could this person possibly contribute to this case? He walked in and he paid for his items. He didn't steal anything. He wasn't seen holding up the clerk. Why is this even being introduced into evidence? It's just amazing. It angers me on so many different levels that this case is being turned around onto Trayvon Martin and also his parents. I was doing a bit of research, and there's a website. I will not give this person any kind of acknowledgement in terms of driving traffic to his website, but it's basically all disparaging of Trayvon Martin and of his parents. This website is accusing particularly Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina, of jet setting and making money off of Trayvon Martin's name. The reason behind me even finding this website was because I was wondering, where is Tracy's girlfriend? I'd seen a clip of Dr. Phil, And I was wondering, who is the woman in the audience? And then someone mentioned that she was the girlfriend, or she is the girlfriend. I'm not really sure how their relationship is now, but she was identified as the girlfriend of Tracy Martin, which is, of course, Trayvon Martin's father. And so when I went to look for more information on her, this particular website came up. But it's just, I mean, the parents are being tried now. Everyone that is in support of Trayvon Martin is basically being looked at. And if they can disparage you, they absolutely will. Never mind that George Zimmerman brought this upon himself when he followed that kid into the complex. Remember, George Zimmerman was driving in his car. He was not walking past Trayvon Martin. He was driving. And he intentionally exited his car and followed that kid. So they have somehow been able to ignore that information and only concentrate on the fact that Trayvon Martin may have possibly had behavioral issues. That's what they would like to magnify. And that is the part that makes me sick. This would be a different issue had Trayvon Martin approached George Zimmerman in his car and tried to carjack him and had been shot. This would be a different issue had Trayvon Martin approached George Zimmerman in his home in an attempt to burglarize it. But neither of those scenarios are the issue. But it just goes to show how ignorant and obscene some of these people are, and the extent that they will go to in order to support someone who kills in cold blood a black person, and particularly a black man. There is even a couple by the last name of Osterman who have come out on the Dr. Phil show in support of George Zimmerman. These were the people who claimed that they actually hid George Zimmerman in the beginning when the new Black Panthers had a bounty on his head. It doesn't amaze me. It doesn't surprise me. The intense dislike that people seem to carry for black people. So much so that even though it is obvious that this criminal neighborhood watchdog murdered Trayvon Martin in cold blood, they still support and fund his defense. Because to them, it's like, okay, he did our work. He did something that we've been wanting to do. Bravo. And they're referring to Sabrina Fulton trademarking Trayvon Martin's name. Maybe we should trademark our own slogans. Trayvon Martin / what bad decisions look like. If I had a son, he would not look like Trayvon. Trayvon Martin, the best shakedown money can buy. So, you can understand, or you can see the mentality of many of these people who are just happy that another black man was murdered. They could give a rat's ass whether he was guilty. They could give a rat's ass as to whether he was actually deserving of being killed. All they know and all they care about is that he's dead. And meanwhile, we have people in Chicago, black people in Chicago, murdering each other at alarming rates. Well, you're just helping these people do and accomplish what they cannot do and accomplish by their own hands. You're assisting them. Every time you murder another black person, you are assisting them. I am not saying that there aren't times when you will have to defend yourself. I am an advocate of defending yourself. However, I am not an advocate of cold-blooded murder, gang-related murders, genocidal murders. They just don't sit well in my system. You guys, leave your thoughts, leave your comments as they relate to this video.